Hey everyone, it's me, Patchdam Bogat. Today I thought that I'll make the video about necromancy. Now, this video is definitely going to be one of those videos that I believe that you should really just pay attention to for those who want to know about necromancy. Now, necromancy in Greek means necros, and obviously is about conjuring the dead, right? We can conjure the dead through numerous means. For example, I'm gonna get something that works as a prop. It's aesthetics. A lot of practitioners use props, either it be a skull, cemetery dirt, and the like. I'm gonna go ahead and get that, and I'm gonna show you. Hold on one second. This right here, friends, is my jar that I put my cemetery dirt in. It's not a fancy jar, but it's props nonetheless, and it's something that I use to get the feeling of the dead within ritual. This aesthetic, it's not necessarily needed. It's really optional. It's something that a person would do if they choose to, but it's not needed. Like I said before, some people would have bones of something that is decaying, something that will really get them into that jive, right? Into that mindset that what they're doing is that they're really conjuring the dead, these spirits, to invoke them to ascertain information about their future. Now, you may go through different results and which culture you would stem from, and learning about how they were able to look at necromancy. Each culture sees it different. It could be Greek, it could be Egyptian, whatever have you. A lot of these cultures, they've done necromancy, and even though they have their own interpretation of it. Like, for example, the Greeks saw necromancy as something that they would do in connection with Hades, and the dead would have limited information, which kind of makes sense because their belief system would be that when these individuals were alive, they would know as much as they did when they were alive, so therefore it's limited. Whereas other cultures, their knowledge, and that's the dead we're speaking of, they would be unlimited knowledge. And I do take on that frame of thinking, even though it's a little bit of both. But I do ultimately take on that frame of thinking because when I think about who and what we are alive, our minds are limited. We depend on the internet, we depend on books to ascertain that information, and that's how we know what we know outside of the globe or that little human bubble that we live in. Like, for example, we would know what's going on in Sweden even though you live here within the States. You would have to read a book or go to the internet in order to know that. But when you're deceased, it's like you are a living library or a internet server. So in other words, your information is pretty much unlimited because you're not bound to the human plane where you're able to read a book and you know something, that you didn't know before. But when you die, those things and information becomes accessible to you. Hence, when they are conjured up, they would know these things. But that's why I said it's like a twofold thing. I personally feel on the opposite side as well, because I wouldn't conjure up a dead spirit that I didn't know that lived locally within my neighborhood, because I felt the results would be a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you have to pick what you really want to do with that particular ritual before you do it. Gather your information, perhaps go on the internet, like I do on, your phone, your smartphone, and you really do research before you dig into it. Now, my way of doing it, like I said, it could be either way, and it's okay, but it's something that I thought that would be of great importance to those who are interested in necromancy, because it's something that it is for the purpose of divination. It helps the individual to look into the future. You know, of course, for those who are like myself that have some sort of divination, either it be, the Ouija board. It's pretty old, board game here, but it's a good one. The Ouija board. You have tarot card readings and things of that nature. I do all that. Um, with that said, that experience, looking into the future, could be somewhat terrifying. You could just be like, hey, look, I didn't really need to know that, but you did do some tarot reading, or you consulted with the dead in order to see what the future is and what it holds for you. But that's why people do necromancy. It's something that the world, either they believe it or not, it takes place. It's really the media's fault when they downplay necromancy. You think of Mortal Kombat, video games, movies, books like the Odyssey. They downplay it, but it is real. But of course, it's up to the individual and how they're going to go about in their ritual, like I said before. But I know, like, when it comes to mainstream religion, in particular Christianity, there's a scripture in the Old Testament when the king of Israel, King Saul, conjured up the dead. He went to a medium. And though Christianity sees it as it being demonic, and that particular passage is there to teach Christians not to follow that path, and that's something that they're taught to, but to each their own. But I know that as I look at the necromancy, it's something that I find to be really interesting, because I actually did a ritual about a day ago, and what I did was that I've asked Satan to pretty much assist me in this. And I also asked Santa Morte, Murmur, Hagate, in this path working, so that I could really learn more about it, learn about my future. Because ever since I heard of necromancy, I've always had like this kindling spirit, this tingling feeling that led me to it. And interestingly, when I did that ritual, like I said, was a day ago, what happened was that I walked outside my building, and of course there was death all around me. I seen these mice that were dead on the ground. It's not a coincidence. Right after I did my ritual of the dead, asking for Satan, Santa Marte, Agate, Murmur, any deity of the dead, especially Egyptian, to help assist me in ascertaining the future. But it doesn't come without any consequence, because there is a consequence. We don't want to throw consequence or caution to the wind. We want to understand that when you do these things, it takes a lot of energy out of you. Make sure that when you do it, you're up to par with it. Any form of magic, there is a backlash to it. No matter how you view the magic, either you believe in high magic, low magic, whatever, there's going to be some sort of backlash. I mean it. I was just thinking about this as I was thinking about this video about necromancy, and I said to myself, let's just say a while back, when I went through the great severity, this convoluted, batshit crazy thing with Satan, he put me in position to learn a valuable lesson. Long story short. And I'm here to say that it doesn't matter that at the point where I'm at right now in my life, in the left-hand path, till the day I die, what happened in the month of November of that year was very intense. Very intense. That was last year, November. And it is what made me, it was my crowning achievement. When Satan said, word for word, looked me in the eye and said it was my crowning achievement. Now, why am I saying that? I'm adding that to necromancy is because it teaches me, and it should teach you, that no matter what the magic that you're doing, either be necromancy or a prosperity spell, you're going to have some sort of consequence. And what happened in the month of November was a prosperity spell coming into its finalization, and it hurt like a bitch. It really brought me to my knees. I did the impossible. I succeeded. And I don't mean to be arrogant when I say this, but by me saying this, I'm saying this because for those who are watching, to notice that this is a disclaimer. It's like a good doctor wouldn't just sell medicine, he would explain the side effects of it. And that's what I'm saying when it comes to any form of magic, necromancy, whatever have you, there's consequences. Because for those who are interested in necromancy, you have to realize that once you're exposed to something like this, and this is me being honest, putting all my cards and chips on the table, you have to realize that the price that you're gonna pay, it could be something that could really hurt you. That's why I said I don't want to be arrogant about it, because most of you that are listening, watching, and again, I don't mean to be arrogant, but it's me putting the information out there as a disclaimer, as a person who lives the left-hand path. I'm not a poser, you know what I mean? It's something that I live. So those who are watching, listening, you're not going to make it. And I mean that. Because a lot of people that are just interested and you want to make some sort of game out of it, you're not going to make it. And for those who are not serious about it, you're not going to make it. Because people come with the idea of necromancy, of any magic spell, black magic, in particularly demonic, and they're not prepared. They see things in an idealistic way. It's just surface, superficial viewpoint of matters. I'm gonna get money out of this spell. I'm gonna get a lover. I'm gonna speak to the dead. But you don't know the consequences. It's just merely idealistic. You haven't looked further into the future to see what could possibly happen as a consequence. It's one of those things where you want to be very specific when it comes to that particular spirit or even demon that you want to work with, to help you to understand how things are going to take place. That's why when I look at Satan, when he spoke of how, though it was vague, he helped me to appreciate that before I even came into the left-hand path, this ain't fucking Disneyland. My head, because I was very young at the time, my head was in the clouds. But he says, you're going to be victorious. You're going to make it. At the time, before it was YouTube, there was a black book, a black journal I had. I wrote down what is called dream items. And these dream items Satan has brought to me through lucid dreaming to teach me about my spell of prosperity. There was a crown, there was a scepter, there was a world map, there was a very thin white fog. All these things that if you do some research, it teaches you a lot about what these particular dreams that you're having with teaches you about yourself, on a subconscious and on the physical plane. But yet I've learned along the way that this shit is not easy. You probably heard in my other videos where I spoke about from Paimon himself, King Paimon himself, how he gave me advice that you don't have to believe it. You just have to know that it's going to happen. Well, I say the same advice here within necromancy. I mean, all of our experiences are could be different, but yet similar. It's very serious because when these things happen, it wasn't a laughing matter, especially when I did the impossible. Because when I said I cried, I cried. When I said I wanted to quit, I it was like I knew I was going to quit, but there was this faint light within me that told me to hold on just a little while longer. You don't understand what is like the gravity of that pain. You know, wanting to commit suicide, to leave. All this I say as a disclaimer to forewarn you, because Satan also helped me to appreciate that there's a possibility of me even going homeless. Yeah, I'm openly saying it to you guys. I'm telling you, because here's my case in point. Before the pandemic hit, I had a job. Satan told me that I was going to lose my job. At that particular time, I didn't really think it was going to happen because I didn't pay attention to it fully until it happened the beginning of this year, way before the pandemic. But it just dawned on me where it's like either I believed in it or not, it happened. It draws us back to what King Paimon said. And me losing the job was going to happen anyway, like this. When you really think about it, I think in terms of the pandemic. When the pandemic happened, a supervisor texted me a while back when the pandemic happened and told me 70% of people at that job were let go. I could have been one of them. So regardless, people were let go. So I was going to be unemployed anyway without the job. But the latter happened. Or should I say the former happened. And that's Satan coming inside of me the day I was going to be terminated and said, I'm allowing you to be fired because I'm only pushing you closer to your manifestation. Then I was let go. So either which way, either you believe in destiny or whatever have you, I was going to lose my job. And it happened. And that was the demonic way of saying that, yeah, we are pushing you closer to what you asked for 5 years ago. It was 5 years in the making. I was learning. I was getting all these skills like speaking through the Ouija board, tarot card reading, developing a stronger relationship with Satan, getting to where I'm at right now on YouTube, teaching individuals like yourself, sharing information like, what I'm doing right now about necromancy. It's a very serious matter, friends, because it's a process that takes time. It's a process that takes skill. And it's one of those things where you really have to look at it where don't look at immediate results. Look at it in a way that even Lord Paimon told me, and I'm going to share that with you. Because it's my own gnosis. If you haven't experienced it, then you haven't experienced it. But you don't have to believe in it. All you have to do is know that it's going to happen. Be in that state of knowing. Now, I have to say that to myself at times because I still haven't received what I asked for. And this is something completely different to necromancy. But at least I know that I'm aware and I'm able to connect the dots and go, though this video is about necromancy and I've done a lot of my homework, a lot of what I've learned in my many years with Satan is that it's not by coincidence by itself that these things happen. So it serves as a learning lesson for me to tell you that you have to really pay attention, because you have entities that could also mislead you, astral parasites. And if you're not skilled with the Ouija board, you're not skilled with tarot card reading, focusing psychically on Satan, you could bring something else in and it could fuck up your day, fuck up your life. You know what I mean? And that's something that if you're not skilled, you need to look into the possibility of this happening. Because very easily, if you was in my shoes, and that's why I said that if people did the impossible or got even close to it, they would have just bailed out immediately. First sign of trouble, they leave, because that's just how human beings are. They go through things that are just troublesome, and then they leave. They're out. They're out. But I know better. That's why it's not about running away. It's about responsibility and accountability. I feel that I'm responsible and accountable, that if I'm going to say something about anything regarding magic, either be necromancy, whatever have you have to read the disclaimer. Is any good practitioner will tell you there is a side effect to it. There's benefits as well as there being some consequence. Now I see the benefits of it. I take a darker path. I love what I do. Sometimes it just downgrades to me liking what I do, but I know that's what comes with the job. And the reason being is because this is the left-hand path. It's magic. Okay? And I don't know what you would call necromancy, either be death magic, witchcraft, black magic, or whatever. It's whatever the person chooses to call it. But there are benefits. But like the Ouija board and other tools of divination, necromancy is one of them. I do suggest that if you want to know more, do research, look at this video, share it if you like it with others. And lastly, as I conclude, make sure that when you actually learn more about the spirits, the deceased that die, of course, do research about those in your neighborhood, and try to have a demon, either they're of the Goetia, of Egyptian, whatever have you, Grecian pantheon, have them assist you. Like me, I have Santa Morte, and she, that feminine of death, she's going to assist me with this. And be prepared. Be prepared. It's not for the faint of heart, okay? I love you all. Please subscribe to this channel, and I hope you all have a good day. Stay safe.